Practice Test 5. Part 6. Question 75. Equipment which operates in excess of 300 volts must use skirted attachment plugs. Equipment over 300 volts must use skirted attachment plugs. Must use skirted attachment plugs on equipment over 300 volts. Question 76. What is the difference between 12 and 14 gauge wire? 12 gauge runs over longer distances. Difference between 12 and 14 gauge wire is 12 gauge runs over longer distances. 12 gauge runs over longer distances instead of 14. Question 77. When used for joining wires, a junction box is made up of which of the following materials? All the above. Plastic, porcelain and metal. Junction box can be made of which materials? All the above. Plastic, porcelain and metal. Junction box can be made of all the above. Plastic, porcelain and metal. Question 78. If a cable has a black wire, a white wire and an uncoated wire, you should ground the uncoated copper wire. Cable has black, white wire and one uncoated ground wire. Ground the uncoated copper wire. Cable has black, white wire and one uncoated ground wire. Ground uncoated copper wire. Question 79. Which of the following has the largest cross-sectional area? AWG number 0. Of the following, AWG number 0 has the largest cross-sectional area. AWG number 0 has largest cross-section of the following. Question 80. The side of a circuit having a black wire is where the fuse circuit breaker is located. Side of circuit with a black wire is the fuse circuit breaker location. Fuse circuit breaker location, side of circuit with black wire. Question 81. Wires running between the power supply and the house are carrying 120 volts. Wires between power supply and the house are carrying 120 volts. Wires running between the power supply and the house are carrying 120 volts. Question 82. Spliced wire is located in the junction box. Spliced wire goes into junction box. Junction box for spliced wire. Question 83. If a 120 volt motor draws 5 amps, it uses up 600 watts. 120 volt motor draws 5 amps. Uses up 600 watts. 120 volt motor. 5 amp draw. Uses up 600 watts. Question 84. When troubleshooting a residential circuit, what is the first thing an electrician should do? Turn on all the appliances. First thing an electrician should do in troubleshooting residential circuit. Turn on all the appliances. Turn on all the appliances first when testing a residential circuit. Question 85. If a DC circuit has a resistance of 2 ohms, and a voltage of 12 volts, the current is 6 amps. I equals E over R. DC circuit. 2 ohms resistance. 12 volts. Current equation is I equals E over R. 12 volts divided by 2 ohms equals 6 amps of current. DC circuit has resistance of 2 ohms, and voltage of 12 volts. Current is 6 amps. I equals E over R. Question 86. If a 15 amp 240 volt motor uses kilowatts, 3.6 kW, A times U equals W. 15 times 240 equals 3600 watts, i.e., 3.6 kW. 15 amps, times 240 volt motor, uses 3600 watts, 3.6 kilowatts. Question 87. If a DC circuit has 6 amps, and a current of 3 ohm resistance, the voltage is 18 volts. DC circuit has 6 amps, and current of 3 ohm resistance, voltage is 18 volts. DC circuit, 6 amps, current 3 ohm resistance, voltage is 18 volts. Question 88. If a DC circuit has 24 volts, and a 6 amp current, the power rating is 144 watts. P equals I times E. So, 6 amp current, I, times 24 volts, E, will equals power rating of 144 watts. DC circuit has 24 volts and 6 amp current. Power rating is 144 watts. P equals I times E. P equals I times E. So, 6 amp current, I, times 24 volts, E, will equal power rating of 144 watts. Question 89. If a DC circuit has a 4 ohm resistance and a 5 amp current, the power will be 100 watts. P equals I squared times R. So, 5 amp current, I, squared is 25. Times 4 ohm resistance, R, is 25 times 4, equals 100 watts. DC circuit has 4 ohm resistance and 5 amp current. Power will be 100 watts. P equals I squared times R. So, 5 amp current, I, squared is 25. Times 4 ohm resistance, R, is 25 times 4, equals 100 watts. DC circuit. 4 ohm resistance. 5 amp current. Power will be 100 watts. P equals I squared times R. So, 5 amp current, I, squared is 25. Times 4 ohm resistance, R, is 25 times 4, equals 100 watts.